Okay, so this is me explaining. Welcome to the video, everyone. And I'm explaining the second half of the Olivia Violet conversation. So when we made this booklet, this conversation it just goes on forever. Extract 6, extract 7, and then it still carries on there. And I had to decide where to chop it up. So I went for this point where she takes her veil off. And I regret that this bit, oh, don't tell me I'm not going to be able to. I regret this bit isn't going at the top here. Oh, no, I did. I moved it last lesson and it stayed. Sorry, I thought I'd undone my changes. So I've moved it. Your books haven't got that bit in, but I've stuck it in because I think it's a good moment to start with the unveiling. If I was the examiner, I'd keep the unveiling in at the beginning for you to write about. So, now, would it be better for us to read it in modern English? Yes, it would, just to get the spirit of what's occurring. I'll take the whole screen, make that life easier for me. Okay, trying to find. Apologies. Oh, now I'm on a video. I'm feeling all like really self-aware, like self-conscious. What's the difference between self-aware and self-conscious? One's good, one's bad. So here we go. Team Eco, get the spark notes up. One of the longest scenes. Shakespeare didn't particularly write the scene changes in. So if I go to page 11, do you reckon it's page 11? Yes. Page 12 then, okay. Right, I am going to need, I am Viola, I want an Olivia. Who is it? Oh, I know it's too high, you know, the stakes are high. Nancy, will you read Olivia? Great, thank you very much. And we'll go from Olivia takes off her veil. It was done excellently if it's all natural, the way God made it.
Oh, it's all natural, sir. Wind and rain can't wash it off.
That's true beauty. Mother Nature herself painted your skin so white and your lips so red. My lady, you'd be the cruelest woman alive if you let your beauty die with you, with no children to inherit your good looks for future generations to enjoy.
Oh, I'd never be that cruel. I'll definitely do as you say and leave my beauty for the rest of the world to enjoy. I'll write out a detailed inventory of my beauty and label every part. For example, 2 lips, ordinary red, 2 grey eyes with lids on them, 1 neck, 1 chin, and so on. Anyway, were you sent here just to tell me I'm beautiful?
I see what you're like. You're proud, but you'd still be gorgeous even if you were as proud as the devil. My Lord loves you. You should return a love as deep as his, even if you are the most beautiful woman in the world.
How does he love me?
He adores you. He cries and groans and sighs.
Your Lord knows what I think. I can't love him. I'm sure he's a very nice man. I know he's noble, rich, young, with a fine reputation. People say he's generous, well-educated and brave, and he's very attractive, but I just can't love him. He should have resigned himself to that a long time ago.
If I loved you as passionately as my master does and suffered like he does, your rejection would make no sense to me. I wouldn't understand it.
What would you do about it?
I'd build myself a sad little cabin near your house where my soul's imprisoned. From that cabin, I'd call out to my soul. I'd write sad songs about unrequited love and sing them loudly in the middle of the night. I'd shout your name to the hills and make the air echo with your name, Olivia. Oh, you wouldn't be able to go anywhere without feeling sorry for me.
Not bad. You might accomplish something. Who are your parents?
Well, I was born to a higher position than I've got now, but I'm still fairly high ranking. I'm a gentleman.
Go back to your lord. I can't love him. Tell him not to send any more messengers unless you feel like coming back to tell me how he took the bad news. Goodbye. Thanks for your trouble. Here's some money for you.
I'm not a paid messenger, my lady. Keep your money. It's my master who's not getting the reward he deserves, not me. I hope you fall in love with a man whose heart is as hard as rock and who treats your love like a big joke, just like you've done. Goodbye, you brute, beautiful, cruel woman. That's the end of the extract, but this is the next one, so let's just shove it in. I will be Olivia, Nancy, you be Malvolio. Who are your parents? I was born to a higher position than I've got now, but I'm still fairly high ranking. I'm a gentleman. Yes, I'm sure you are. Your way of talking, your face, your body, your behaviour, and your sensitive soul all prove you're a gentleman. I know. Calm down. Calm down. If only his lord were more like him. How strange I'm feeling. Can someone fall in love this quickly? I can feel this young man's perfection creeping in through my eyes like some kind of disease, slowly and invisibly. Oh, well. Malvolio, come here.
At your service, madam.
Run after that obnoxious messenger, the Duke's servant. He insisted on leaving this ring with me, whether I wanted it or not. Tell him I want nothing to do with it. He hands him a ring. Ask him not to encourage Orsina or get his hopes up. I'm not for him. If that young man comes here again tomorrow, I'll tell him why. Hurry, Malvolio.
Madam, I will.
Oh, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm afraid I'm not using my head and I'm falling for his good looks. Fate, do your work. We human beings don't control our own destinies. What is fated to happen must happen, so let it happen. Okay, so you can see where I decided to chop the scene up. Quite obvious place. Let's go back to it. Here it is. So are you ready to write notes all over it, and then we'll watch it, and then I'll do the model essay. Oh, that'd be quite enough work for one day. So you have the drama of Olivia unveiling. So that's a great thing. They want you to write about the action on stage. I don't know if you remember that from the AQA note, the examiner's notes, but unveiling and the drama of her. And you might say it's her removing her disguise. She's sort of in disguise as a grieving woman. It's keeping Orsino off her, and she's letting Viola in on this personal level. So Viola's got her alone and she's got her with the veil off. So on Viola goes to try and woo her on behalf of Orsino. So she throws in some compliments, and you are the cruelest woman alive if you will take your good looks to the grave and leave the world no copy. So this is quite a rhetorical, poetic, so I'm going to call that romantic poetry. That's her first attempt, poetry. But Olivia, oh, I don't know how to draw it, knocks it straight back, satirizes it. Almost Shakespeare is satirizing, sorry, I've spelled it wrong, satirizing romantic poetry. Oh, well, if it's my beauty you're after, I'll write a list and you can have it. So I will give out schedules of my beauty and it'll be inventoried. So let's go over to the inventory. If you've ever had a holiday flat, maybe, I wonder if I get here inventory, what will I get? Hope it's not rude, hope it's not rude. Images. Oh. So normally it's like a list of, no, it's a list of everything you've got, basically. Or is that a good one? Can't read it well enough. Oh yeah, wooden books, dining table, dining chair, lounge chair. That's what an inventory looks like. So she's saying, don't worry, I won't die. Oh, I'm going to the wrong thing. I won't die and leave, the world no copy. I'll write out that I've got 2 lips, 2 grey eyes, both with lids, a neck, a chin, and so forth. So she knocks down and defeats Viola's first attempt at romantic poetry wooing. So, were you sent hither to praise me? And Viola, I find this quite, I wouldn't like someone to say this to me. I see you what you are. I can see through, maybe you might say her disguise of mourning. Who else knows what she might mean by that? You're too proud. So we now go on to the next trial. My Lord and Master loves you. How does he love me? This is type 2. Again, she's gone with the romantic poetry, rather cliches, romantic cliches. With adorations, fertile tears, groans that thunder love, with sighs of fire. These are all very typical things to find in love poetry, especially the poetry of I love the lady, but she doesn't love me, that poetry. But this time, instead of knocking it back as a joke, satirizing, oh yes, I'll leave you a list, this time we get it's knocked back in a way by honesty and straightforwardness. Your Lord does know my mind. I cannot love him. I'm finding that very direct and believable. She's not talking in romance or cliches, straight up. And then we have all the wonderful things about Orsino that she acknowledges. So I'll give it a tick there. He's virtuous, noble, rich is great estate, fresh and stainless youth. I don't know, I'm sorry about voices well divulged, I'm not sure. Free, easygoing, I think, educated, brave, and in dimension and the shape of nature, a gracious person. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with him, but yet I cannot love him. He might have took his answer long ago. So people doing Pride and Prejudice, this might remind you of Elizabeth and Mr. Collins. She cannot convince Orsino. He's still playing this romantic game. And she's saying, look straight, I can't love him. He might have took his answer long ago. So she's fought back the second set of cliches with honesty. So Viola changes tack. She comes into this honesty level and says, well, if it was me, if I did love you, I wouldn't understand, you know, what's wrong with me? What's not to like? Why wouldn't you have me? That I wouldn't understand it. So this is number 3. She is going in, she's abandoned all the traditional cliches and she's in on a personal level. What would you do? I'd make me a willow cabin at your gate and call upon my soul within the house. Write loyal this is a really famous bit. Write royal songs of condemned love and sing them loud even in the dead of night. Halloo, your name to the reverberate hills, and make the babbling gossip of the air cry out, Olivia! Oh, you should not rest between the elements of air and earth, but you should pity me. People love that. They think it's lovely poetry she comes out with. So why does it immediately interest? She gets through to Olivia. Not the way she wanted to get through. Suddenly, well, I think Olivia has asked personal questions before, but now she's getting really personal. You know, who is your family? Who are you? You seem quite clever. What? Now she's actually attracted Olivia I think Olivia was quite attracted even before she came in, but she's really attracted her now with this personal level. And here's a theory of what she really likes about it. Let me get if you live, this is a rather splendid gatehouse. If you live here and there's a massive mansion up there, she's saying, build me a willow cabin. So not a nice stone one, a willow cabin at your gate. Oh, that might be a good one. No, it's not a very good. They're also posh, aren't they? They would actually cost a fortune now. There's one at Castlebury Park. So that might be one. Just a little gatehouse. It's a bit like where security would be. And there's a massive mansion over there. And you've got some servants living at the gatehouse. Can't see the Castlebury one at the moment. Oh, that's nice. Oh, yeah, that's rather magnificent there on the way up to the mansion. So she said, I would like to live in the gatehouse and you would be my soul and I would call upon you in the house. Let's get you a willow cabin. Oh, those are willow trees. So I think that looks rather nice. So having that as the gatehouse, it's a bit modern, isn't it, with its circular thing. Oh, there's one in Hertfordshire. That's, I would call that rather big for a cabin. So something like, oh yes, an updated, what, it's on TripAdvisor. Well, I think you can rent that one to go and live in on holiday. Okay, so that is what attracts Olivia in this theory. Make me a willow cabin at your gate. I will be less than you. I will be the person who lives in a little shed, call it a willow cabin, and as a servant. And I'll praise you and sing about you. This is a really famous line, actually. And it completely attracts Olivia. So this was 3, the personal level, the servant, saying as a servant, saying as less than Olivia. Oh, went wrong with that letter, Olivia. There. I am writing my finger. You're saying you know. Okay, yeah. So then she asks this really personal question. What's your parentage? So above my fortunes. So I am kind of richer and more socially statusful than I look. You know, my fortune is to put me here as a messenger, but I'm actually way more socially superior than that. I'm a gentleman. So that means I'm of the gentry. I'm not of the ordinary people. I'm an aristocrat. So Olivia almost wakes up. Has she gone too far? Get you to your Lord. Now go. Right, she ends the conversation. Get you to your Lord. I can't love him. In the one that we're going to watch, she's kind of embarrassed. Olivia's kind of embarrassed that she's gone that personal. And she's like, okay, get you to your Lord. Let him send no more, unless perchance you come to me again. So she's trying to get Cesario back. And gives her some money. Spend this for me. Which is the wrong class of servant. That would be feste. Many servants would like you to, like a tip, like you to give them some money. But Viola Cesario is a much higher ranking servant. So I'm no feed post. You know, I don't operate on the, don't give me money for like moving one of your boxes or something. Keep your purse. And then she makes this thing, make his heart of flint that you will love. And it's ironic because we know Olivia's fallen in love with a woman, so she'll never be able to have her. So in that society, let your fervour, let you being madly in love be laughed at. And it will be, but not for the reasons she thinks. And we're ending on a normal note. Farewell, fair cruelty. This is a traditional romantic cliche to call the woman cruelty, as in, I love her and she keeps turning me down. She's so cruel. Obviously, you want her to keep turning you down, otherwise you'd be a slag. But in this, so you approve of the cruelty and the distance and the not sex madness. So back onto cliched level. Oh, okay. So I will now visit you and wonder how you have got on. Now, what can I do? Can I pause my recording or can I just stop it? I want it to be one thing though. I'm going to make 2 recordings. I'll stop recording. So I think, here we go. That's what we've done before. So the way, how do you decide where the chunks are? And there's no hard and fast rule. Different people will do them differently. So as long as it's not ridiculous, you'll be fine. You just have to give an overview, and people's overviews are going to be slightly different. Shakespeare did not write 25 mini arcs in his play. He just wrote a play. So let me see. I think I am going to have the setup as this bit here, up there. That looks like, because there he's starting on with all the persuasions. So this is going to be my setup. I've done already, I've done a one. I'll call that my setting up the scene, that she's unveiled, that they're on a very private level, that Viola's made a lot of progress with getting into Olivia, getting Olivia on her own, getting Olivia without the veil on. That's the setup. And so then the action moves. Oh no, so that's the first thing I want to set up. Then I've got to decide what I want to call the climax. It's not much of a climax. I'm saying I don't feel in this one, but she's trying to persuade her. She's trying to persuade her. And this time she sort of is successful, but in the wrong way. She's actually attracted Olivia to him, rather than to her master. So I think I will call this bit here the climax. Another teacher might have put it somewhere else. And after that, then, after that interest, things go back to normal. So as it resolves, Olivia is taken charge. Olivia's tried to pay him. Viola's ended up with, back on a cliche at the end and saying that her master should be loved. So it resolves back into kind of normality after we've had this very personal exchange. So there, I've got the climax, and then after the climax, I'm calling it the resolution. And that you don't have to have four. And I could say the setup's my first bit, the romantic poetry and cliches is my second, the personal level is my third, the climax is my fourth, and the resolution is my fifth. You can do it in 5 bits. I think I'm going to go with 4. I'll do it with letters because I've used up all numbers. So that's going to be A, the setup, B, the attempts at persuasion, climaxing with the successful but wrong persuasion, and D, the resolution. That's what I'm going to do. So I've got that far. So did you see how I did that? I thought that can be the setup, that can be the climax, therefore that's the resolution. And do I want to add any more chunks in? In this case, no. But it wouldn't be bad if I did. I just don't want to. So here's how I have to do these questions. It's at the back. So recognise the passage, where it comes in the arc of the drama. And I'm going to say it's at the end of the setup. So Orsino's in love with Olivia. We know Viola Cesario's fallen in love with Orsino. Now Olivia's fallen for Viola. So we've got the full triangle. And the comic problem, you might call that, has been set up, and the rest of the play will sort it all back out again. And a love triangle is one of the most common love stories, and especially in comedy. Though this one is special because it's a man in love with a woman who's in love with a woman, and a woman man, and that man woman is in love with the other man. It's quite gender unusual and good for it, and comedy lets you do that. So I've recognised it. I've said it's at the end of the the end of the love triangle being set up. I've done the splitting up. What's led up to it? The scene before is actually pretty similar. I'm in the middle of the conversation between Olivia and Viola. So it's a continuation, which I can't say the tone was playful and subversive, but now it's the formal love triangle. I can't do it because it was the same tone before, so I just have to say it's a continuation. And I can see I might well be talking about gender and sexuality as well as I go in through this. And I had a bit about class to say with the servant status. So I'm ready to go. Oh, I need 3 main ones of this. I know I'm going to talk about the romantic cliches I wanted to talk about. I know I want to talk about the love triangle and Olivia taking her disguise off. I'm fine with that. I've got the unveiling of Olivia as well. And I've got a bit of satire of, what do you call it? A bit of a satire. So here's one I did earlier. Bang. Oh, look, quickly, before you get carried away, I'm just going to make it all so that I can redo that for you. Oh, no, I didn't want it all red. I wanted it all black. There. So this is what I wrote. The scene occurs in the middle of Viola Cesario wooing Olivia on behalf of Orsino. Viola has had some success. She has Olivia on her own and with her veil off. So that's exactly what's just gone on. This scene completes the setup of the love triangle in the play. The comic problem of unrequited loves is established, which the rest of the play will work out. So I've put it where it fits into the play as a whole and what's just been happening pretty quickly. So in normal handwriting, 11, it's that much. It's not very much at all. I've just put it big in case you're on a small screen. So here's my overview paragraph. The scene starts with Viola's success in getting through to Olivia. Not only are they alone, but here Olivia has lifted her veil, her disguise. And I'm going to write a lot more about disguise in the essay, that maybe she was disguising herself as a mourning person, mourning, in order to put Orsino off. The action develops as Viola attempts to woo Olivia unsuccessfully using romantic cliches. The scene comes to a climax as Viola is successful, but in wooing for herself. And Olivia takes a personal interest in him. You can call her Viola or Cesario, and a bit of both. The scene ends with a return to normality, to instructions, payment, and romantic cliche. So, look, I only did 4. I said you could do 5, you could do 3. Hang on a minute. The scene starts, the action develops, the scene comes to a climax, and the scene ends with there. And rather than just write out the plot, I've tried to seed in either comedy things or interesting things. So there's an interesting thing. Romantic cliches, tiny bit of interest. I'm going to come back to both of those. She's successful, but in wooing for herself, that kind of I won't bother anyway. There you go. And a return to normality. That's a little idea that they're back on like normal footing at the end, having gone into this sort of personal level. So that's me saying, that's why it's not just me writing out the plot, that I've tried to say interesting things. Tiny bit. And then, hang on, I'll just make all of this the same length. In fact, oh, there. The rest of the essay, I'll just do it over again. I'm going to write a paragraph about, I won't literally copy it out. I'm just doing this down here so that's going to be my first paragraph so that you can see. But I won't be so crass as to just copy and paste it, even if I'm handwriting it. The action develops as, that's going to be, I'm going to write about that in my next paragraph. The scene comes to, that's the scene coming to a climax. I am then going to do a paragraph about the climax, and then I'm going to do the scene ends with a return to normality. I've lost my red, I'm putting it back there. So those are going to be, oh, do you think I should, the sort of paragraphs that I do get to write there. And there's a fifth one. So let me reread, not having that not being there. The action develops, because I want you to do it with the red and everything. The scene comes to a climax and the scene ends with there. So when I actually write about the scene starting, the lifting the veil, a little bit more information about the disguise, I haven't got a lot to say about that one. So that is why that is going to be quite a small bit. So don't go mad and just automatically write loads about the first thing, because I've got a lot more to say about the romantic cliches. Oh, God. Sorry. I've got a lot more to say about the romantic cliches being batted back and the comedy, the humour of that. So that's going to be a big one there. I'm going to write a little bit about the audience knowing what Viola knows and not what Olivia knows. Although the audience maybe can see that Olivia's got interested. So I haven't got that much to say about that one. You know, it'll be pretty much that with some quotes. So that's going to be little. But I've got loads to say about the return to normality, instructions, payment, class, romantic cliches at the end. So the reason I'm saying this to you is, like, save yourself, like work out, oh, I've got loads on that one and that one, so just don't spend too long on the other bits. So I am going to be talking about dialogue. I'm going to be talking about her unveiling. I'm going to be talking about more instructions. It's a lot about dialogue in this one, a little bit about you knowing more than the characters. So the bit I want you to write for homework then about episode 6, extract 6, is that overview and that. And I want you to highlight it, and I want you to turn it into the paragraphs, and I want the paragraphs to be different sizes depending what you think you've got a lot and what you've got a little on. Okay, so to do exactly the same thing. So I need to know if you think you know what to do. And then I will mark your work and tell you if you're there or not there.